Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tip. My name is Julian, and today we're going to be talking about injured players. Players that Yahoo currently has with an injury designation. Are these players actually injured, or will they be ready in time for the beginning of the season? Well, stay tuned, guys. We'll find out exactly what's going on with all these players, like Sidney Crosby, like Jonathan Toews, that currently have an injury designation. Before we get started though, guys, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I would really appreciate all of your support. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers this year, guys, so every subscription counts. Hit that button, it's absolutely free. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about any particular player. We're going to try to bang these out as fast as possible. First on the list is Auston Matthews, had wrist surgery in the offseason. Duba expects him to be ready for the first game of the season. So that's good news. Should be ready. Put him in your lineup for the first game of the season. Next is Cale Makar, and there's no information on his injury right now. I don't know why he has been given an injury designation. We're going to have to get back to you on that one. Follow me on Twitter at FantasyTip, and I'll definitely keep you updated. Next is Alexander Ovechkin, and he skipped the World Championships back in May. If it was still a problem, we would have heard something, so I'm not too concerned about Ovechkin. He should definitely be ready for Game 1. Next is John Carlson, and he dealt with a knee injury towards the end of the season. He had a minor surgery in July, and he'll be ready for the start of training camp. Next is Sidney Crosby, and I quote, "If there's some missed games, it's early on," which leads me to believe he's going to miss the Penguins' first couple of games, October 12th and 14th, but I don't think he's going to miss anything beyond that. His timetable is good. I don't think he's going to miss more than their first 2 games. Next are Quinn Hughes and Brady Tkachuk, and they're both unsigned as of right now, so it's unknown if they're going to end up playing the first game of the season. They're going to have to sign a contract if they want to play, so keep an eye out for that. I'll definitely announce it on Twitter if they finally get signed. Next is Victor Hedman, and he played 3 months last year with a torn meniscus apparently, but he has fully recovered from the surgery that he had during the offseason to repair that, so he's going to be ready for Game 1. Next is Mark Scheifele, and he does have the suspended designation. That's because he is suspended, but only for the first game of the season. He was suspended for 4 games in the playoffs, and the Canadiens went on to sweep the Jets. So, unfortunately, he has to serve 1 more game, which is the first game of next season. Next is John Tavares, and he had that playoff concussion, which was really scary, but that's behind him now, and he's going to be ready for the start of training camp. Next is Elias Pettersson, and he spent the whole season kind of injured last year, but he is finally healthy, but unfortunately he's unsigned, so until he gets signed, he can't play. I do think he's going to be signed before the beginning of the season, but until he does, he won't be eligible to play, so just follow me on Twitter, and I'll definitely update you to see if Pettersson does get signed, but I have absolute confidence that he will be. Next is Carey Price, and he had knee surgery in July, and he was expected to be ready for the beginning of the season, but he failed his physical, and so he's going to miss all of training camp, and by that logic, I think he's going to miss probably the first game or 2 of the season, right? That just makes sense if he's missing the whole training camp. So Jake Allen might be a decent streamer for the first couple of games of the season, but I don't think he's a long-term kind of guy because Price should definitely take over after that. Next is Roope Hintz, and he's recovering from surgery after playing through an injury through all of last season. He was missing like every second game last season, so this surgery was definitely needed for him. Unfortunately, he's been clear to skate. He has been skating, but he has not yet been taking contact. So I don't think he's going to be ready for the beginning of the season, but I don't think he's going to miss too much time either. So don't expect him to miss more than a week, maybe 2 weeks at the start of the season. Hintz is going to have an amazing season this year. Next is Jack Eichel, and he still hasn't been traded, which is not good, and he still won't give in to Buffalo's request to have fusion surgery because Eichel wants artificial disc replacement surgery, which is a little bit risky, but that's what the guy wants. And he's not going to give in to Buffalo's request, and Buffalo's not going to give in to his request. So he's going to miss quite a bit of time this season, and I don't recommend drafting him in any leagues at all, unless you're drafting one of your last picks of the draft, because it's just a really risky pick, and I think auto draft is going to have a field day with Jack Eichel this year. Next is Nick Backstrom, and he's currently listed as week to week with a hip injury, and his availability for the start of the season hasn't yet been determined. But the fact he's been giving a week-to-week designation doesn't look good, so I don't think he's going to be ready for the first game or 2 of the season. He's probably going to miss a week or 2, so I wouldn't bank on him being ready right away. Definitely have another option if you did draft or are planning to draft Nick Backstrom. Next is Jeff Petrie, and he had that finger injury in the playoffs that made his eyes turn all bloodshot red, and looks like he's going to be ready for the start of the season, so don't worry about Jeff Petrie. Next is Ilya Samsonov, and he missed the World Championships for undisclosed reasons, but there's no reason to believe that he won't be ready for the start of training camp and the season. Next is Zach Werenski, and he had sports hernia surgery in April, and there's no reason to believe that he won't be ready either for the start of training camp and the season. Next is Evgeny Malkin, and he's out at least the first 2 months of the season, which means the earliest that he could return is December. So, do I draft Evgeny Malkin where he's currently being drafted? Probably not. I'll talk more about his status and where to draft Evgeny Malkin in my Pittsburgh Penguins video coming out in a couple of weeks. Next is Thomas Chabot, and he missed Ottawa's last 4 games of the season last year, but the injury was nothing serious even back then, so there's no reason to believe that he will miss any kind of time this season. Draft Chabot with confidence. Next is Alexander Radulov, and injuries last season limited him to 11 games. It looks like he's going to be healthy, though, for the start of the season, although there has not been an official confirmation of that. Next is Devon Toews, and he's got a shoulder injury, and it looks like he's going to miss some games early. He's skating right now, but no contact. There's no exact timetable, so I imagine he's going to be missing at least the first couple weeks of the season, unfortunately. Next is Evander Kane, and he's not participating in training camp until further notice. He's pissed off a lot of people in San Jose, and there's so many allegations being thrown against him that he may not even play this year until he gets traded, and who knows how long that's going to be. I'm not drafting Evander Kane with any kind of confidence this year, and he's definitely looks like it's going to miss the beginning of the season. Next is Carter Hart, and he was dealing with an MCL sprain, but he was close to fully healthy in May, so I have no doubt that he's going to be ready for the beginning of training camp and the season this year. Next is Jacob Vrana, and he's just having work visa issues. He should be in training camp in the next few days. I imagine week or 2 max, but he's definitely going to be ready for the start of the season. Next is Vitek Vanacek. He missed some playoff time at the end of the playoffs for Washington, but he's going to be just fine. Gallagher is absent from camp due to family issues, but he should be there in the next couple of days. Don't worry about Gallagher. Mike Hoffman actually is the one to be a little bit more worried about, though. He apparently hurt himself in one of his last skates before making his way to Montreal, and it looks like he might miss the beginning of the season. He failed his physical, so who knows how long he's going to be out. There's really not that much of an update, but I imagine he's going to be missing at least the first week or 2 of the season because they have already announced he's missing training camp. Next is Jonathan Toews, and he missed the whole season last year due to chronic immune response syndrome, but he's going to be back this year and hopefully better than ever. Next is Tuukka Rask, and he remains unsigned, and he's also injured until January at the earliest. So obviously don't expect Tuukka Rask back before then, and I'm not drafting Tuukka Rask either. Next is Ben Bishop, and it's unclear when he's going to be ready after missing the entirety of last year. There hasn't been an official statement, but it's believed that he's going to miss the beginning of the season at least, which is not encouraging considering he missed the entire season last year. Not a great thing. I'm staying far away from Ben Bishop this year. Next is Yanni Gourde, and this has been known for a while. He's had to have shoulder surgery, and he'll be back around mid-November. Next is Phil Kessel, and this is kind of a new injury. He might miss the first few games of the season with this foot injury, but he could very well also be back in time for the season. We're just going to have to see how long it takes for him to heal, but I honestly think he will be back for game 1. Next is Logan Couture, and he missed the last game of the season for San Jose with a lower body injury. There's been no official statement, but I expect him to fully be ready for the season. Next is Duncan Keith, and as much as I don't like Duncan Keith, he's still being drafted in 15% of leagues. Duncan Keith, he's not going to miss any kind of time. He just has to quarantine until October 1st. After that, he'll be set to join the team, and he will definitely play the first game of the season. And that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. Please leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Really appreciate the support, guys. Until next time, guys, I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.